All right, folks, welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show, and we are joined right now by the governor of the great state of Kansas, Sam Brownback, a Republican governor who's also running for re-election. Governor, great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Steve.
What brings you to our neck of the woods in New York City?
Well, to be able to get on media like this, to be able to broadcast and get information back in the state of Kansas and talk about the race, talk about what we're doing in the state of Kansas, and get a good show and get information out.
You know, 16 years in the Congress. To talk about, you know, now you've had a taste of both. Is there something to, you know, that it's better for an executive of a state, a governor, to run for the presidency, you know, than a senator or a congressperson?
You get different information, you get different experiences at each of them. In the Senate, you can get a lot more foreign policy exposure. You can get a lot more exposure to the federal government. At the state level, this is about running, you know, something that's of some substantial size and providing goods and services to individuals, which is a lot of what you do as a president. So, you know, you get different pieces from both of them. I can tell you, just in running a state can be real difficult because you got to make your budget balance, and you got to try to get things growing and growing the economy in the state of Kansas. And you know, on the federal level, you can borrow a lot of money, they print a lot of money, and then you get in a lot of trouble doing that.
Right. And Kansas is a great success story in so many ways, and I want to talk about that. But talk about that being the case before we get to specifics. You're in basically a dead heat with your Democratic opponent at this point. The election, of course, in November, and your quest for re-election. Why so close at this point, do you think?
Change is tough. We had to change a lot of things. We had a pension system that was near bankruptcy. We had lost private sector jobs last decade. We had a tax, we were second highest tax state in the region, income taxes, and you had people leaving the state of Kansas and not forming any businesses. So what we had to do was a whole series of changes. Oh, and the year before I took office, on July 1 of 2010, they had $876.05 in the state bank account out of a $14 billion budget.
$876 and
5 cents.
And 5 cents.
Yeah,
okay.
You got the 5 cents in there too. You're kind of going, oh, really, guys? I mean, they just had really run the thing in the ground. So you had to make a bunch of changes, and change is difficult. I think that's really at the end of the day, that's what the difficulty is in the overall election cycle.
And the 25% cut in the top state income tax rate, which many are saying, you know, led to, of course, there's going to be some shortfalls or some problems that present itself at the beginning. You think that is, you think that's problematic at this point, or is that something that you could point to and say, here's what we accomplished? Which does it work for you or against you?
You know, they are using it to try to say this is the wrong way to go. I am using it and saying, guys, the wrong way to go is the way we had been going for 35 years and losing people and going from 6 congressional districts to 4. We got to create jobs. We got to create momentum here in the state of Kansas, and that's why we took those income tax rates down and went to 0 on small business income. Now you got a record number of people working in the state of Kansas, 4.9% unemployment rate. Got a huge growth in small business in the state of Kansas. You really have things happening now in the region. Governor Perry of Texas was up last week, not recruiting businesses like he goes to
here and
New
elsewhere,
York and other places, but talking about the strong economic, powerful engine we've created in the state of Kansas. And now we got people moving in surrounding states and things like IKEA coming and U.S. Soccer building their training facility, having that in the state. So things are happening in the state of Kansas.
And you have a higher share of private job growth than all of the states that border Kansas. So there must be something to that.
Well, and Kansas City is a great place to look at.
And the Royals have a big game coming up, by the way.
All right, in the playoffs. This is great. We love the Royals being in the playoffs. But you look at Kansas City, it's 55% in Missouri, 45% in Kansas. We've got 3 times the private sector job growth in Kansas that they do on the Missouri side. So, you know, it's really moving forward.
Do the people of your state know enough about your Democratic opponent yet to make things fair at this point, or do you think they'll find out more about him and in addition to your explanation as to why they should stick with you and you're pointing out everything we've just talked about, are there things about him that you think maybe they don't know yet that when they find out they will not be as enamored?
I think once they understand that he's a true liberal, 2-time Obama delegate, voted for a ton of tax increases, you know, just that up and down the line, that he really has the Obama agenda in mind. He's going to raise your taxes. That's what he wants. He wants to go back to the old model of having a high income tax state, which is what caused all of our problems in the first place. And I don't think people really understand that yet today. And they're just now really getting kind of the information on here's all the things that we've done as a state. We're down 3,000 employees as a state of Kansas to be able to get our tax rates on down. And so as people, I think, look and put those two together, I think they'll go, look, I'm going to go with the guy that's the Reagan Republican, not the Obama Democrat.
And 5 or 6 weeks in politics is a lifetime, so you got the whole thing. You're staying for another segment. I'm going to talk about some other issues going on in the country and beyond, so stay where you are. We're talking to Governor Sam Brownback, a Republican from Kansas, running for re-election, as we've just discussed. But we have a lot more to talk about. Don't go away.